pro victory to be the Rock Florida Winter Tour in St. Pete a couple years ago. It feels really good. It's been a long haul kind of to get back onto the podium, and we podiumed last year at Stars, but to do it at the Pro Tour, it just means a lot more for myself, and it means a lot more for the boys. They put in a lot of work, so it's it means a lot.
Talk about last year as well, right? I mean, it seemed like you just couldn't catch a break. I think bad luck after bad luck. It had been quite some time since you got on a podium. We talked here last year at the Stars Championship Series. It had been a long time. How are you feeling after it's all said and done?
Yeah, it's been a long haul back. It's been a lot of work, more off the racetrack than on the racetrack. It's nice to be back with the Marinella boys. Just with the support behind you, it gives you confidence. There's a lot of support from Nathan, a lot of support from Carlos. They really believe in me and, believe in my driving. And that kind of proved today that, that their support means a lot more. So, but yeah, it's been a long haul, especially in the gym. I've been in the gym 5 days a week since the start of January, kind of preparing for this. I talked to Carlos early January and was like, hey, man, can I come even work for the team? I wasn't planning on driving. I was like, can I come work? And it turned into, let's have you come back and drive for us. So to be back and, to be on the top step of the podium, it was a long haul and a lot of hard work from St. Pete to now with the struggles that we had last year. We were fast and missed a little bit here and there, and working with Billy on the chassis. The factory kart was great, but just to be back with the Marinella guys, it's just been I don't want to say a totally different experience, but, feels like home.
Jay, over to you. You showed some really good pace this weekend, for a good amount. We were here sitting yesterday, and all the guys were saying that you were the one to watch. How would you sum up your weekend?
Yeah, it's overall it's been a good weekend. I believe that we've taken the championship lead and a second. That both of those are positives. I feel like we may have still been missing just a little bit for the win, but I mean, the week as a whole has been really good.
Talk about the guy on your left a little bit, right? You guys were, not too happy with each other after the heat, and this is a question for the two of you, right? How was the conversation after? We obviously saw you guys very, very friendly up here. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we both did have pace to go for a win, as you saw in the, not me, he did, as you saw in the final, but I felt like we were backing ourselves back. And like I said, we were fighting for third and fourth when I feel like we could have, gone for AJ and Rousseau, but, that race is over now, and so is the final. Well, the whole thing's over now, but, I feel like, for me, not starting on the inside may have helped, but, yeah.
Josh, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, Jay and I had our differences after the super heats, and we got into a little bit of contact and some aggressive driving between the two of us. But I tried to speak with him after the race in the tent, and, we were still a little bit heated. So, calmer heads prevailed, and, we said, let's speak about this later. But, I respect him a lot as a driver. He's fast. I don't want to have any beef, as you might say, with drivers at the front. We're going to be racing each other more often than not, and to keep a friendly relationship off the track always tends to work better on the racetrack. So, the race is behind us. We got into some stuff. I've been into some stuff with some other drivers and, previous different stuff. And, as long as we're able to work it out afterwards and, calmer heads prevail afterwards. So I'm glad that we were able to work it out and, kind of move forward from that.
Kyle, over to you. It seemed like you guys couldn't catch a break, right, over in Houston for the opening round. This weekend, it almost seemed that way. In qualifying, you guys caught the break, obviously the front fairing, yada, yada, yada. You come here to the end of the weekend, a P3 finish for you guys, after what Gary said was a missed opportunity for you guys in Houston. How good does it feel finally being able to get back to the podium here this weekend?
It still feels like a missed opportunity. In the final, we had the pace. I was 9th after the first turn, and we caught up to Jay and the battle for second by the end. So we had good pace throughout the race. We had pace to pass, which around here is very challenging. So that was good to have again. Even in Houston, like, we had the pace to win, but we weren't, like, the fastest. Like, Rousseau and those guys were faster. They just weren't up front. Where this time, the fast guys were at the front, so it was like, it's not like, oh, if we had track position, we could have won. It's like, we were fast this time, so that's something to look at. That's a positive from the weekend. We just need to carry the momentum into Indy and not screw up in qualifying.
You touched on qualifying, right? I mean, is there anything else you can look at that you can kind of point at and say, man, if we can just get that right, we'll kind of fire out the gate a little better?
No. I mean, qualifying 7th puts you back in the mix on the starts, and you're just in a vulnerable place to lose positions and waste time. In the heats, we weren't extremely fast, but we had decent enough pace that if we would have been up front, we would have stayed there no problem. Just didn't have the pace to drive forward. So we were kind of just stuck where we were after the start. So, yeah.
Josh, over to you. Caleb alluded to it, right? Last year, maybe not the greatest of years for you, up and down year, but this race, I think I speak for a lot of people. We expect pace out of you, but to be this quick was something that maybe we didn't expect. Is there anything you learned throughout the weekend that kind of got you to this point, or is it just you guys kept working at it and it finally, proved to be, the right thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like anything throughout the weekend specifically pace-wise. We had our moments last year. We were super fast. Stars Newcastle. We were pretty quick here at the start of the race for Stars as well. But there's some minor nuances with the chassis where Billy uses it better when it comes to the factory kart versus kind of how I drive. A little bit to height, a little bit to driving style. So once we kind of ironed those kinks out, we were good with the chassis last year and good with the JMF program. They did a lot for us last year, so super thankful to be able to do that. But just kind of coming back home, as I mentioned earlier, it just kind of eases the mind a little bit, especially as a driver. When your mind's kind of everywhere and you're not focused on the task at hand, it makes the job that you're meant to do a little more difficult. So coming home and coming back to Carlos and Nathan just kind of eased my mind a little bit. I'm confident in the package. We've seen Kayak and Trefloff did extremely well with it at Supernats, and even Justin this winter in Orlando. So just having confidence in the team and them having confidence in myself, and just making minor changes. It was nothing crazy over the weekend. I worked solely on the front end. That's kind of where everything happens with the chassis. If the front end's not where you need it to be, then it kind of affects the rear of the go-kart. So we're working on the front end all weekend, and working with Carlos on the chassis and having him drive on Thursday helped a lot too, because he was able to understand the racetrack and kind of help us progress forward.
Kyle, this one's from you, from Xander in the production trailer. In comparison to last year in Houston, you personally made a big leap in managing the race pace to last for the longer race distances. What's been the process been like for you, and has it been a big deal to have 20% longer mains last year and this year?
Last year, we definitely lacked pace the second half of the races. And in Houston as well, the second half of the race, I was really off the pace. In Houston, I had a extremely bent axle in the pre-final, and I slowed down over a second when I bent the axle, and I did 10 of the 14 laps like that. So my hands, like lap 3 of the final, I couldn't feel my hands. So that definitely affected the performance throughout the race. Here, I feel like the middle part of the race was definitely affected with my ability to hold on. I don't get to drive very much anymore. I don't work out. I have my own race team, and I work for my dad, so sun up to sundown, I'm working. So definitely I'm lacking part of the physicality to be more competitive.
What's it like in the seat, for those 20-plus laps? I think it's 25, right, that you guys are in there, especially at a track like this?
Today, with the temperatures being cooler, it was definitely a lot easier. 25 is one thing, but then we did 14 at 11, and then we did 25 at 1. So there wasn't really we did 39 racing laps in a short spread. So that definitely adds to the physicality compared to last year. If it would have been 90 degrees today, it definitely would have been a lot worse. Where last year, I remember everybody in the scale line was dead, where this year with the cooler temperatures, it wasn't as bad.
Josh, over to you. This one, again, is from Xander. Even though you've had impressive runs in the early years of the Stars Series, today and this weekend you made such a big leap mentally, do you feel a lot different now as a Pro Tour winner?
I wouldn't say mentally I feel different as a Pro Tour winner. I was actually saying to Carlos, we were watching X30 Pro, and Carlos has a special thing for Paulie while running his OKNs at Stars. So we take and watch Paulie and see how he does, and we were talking about it. And I said to him, I'm like, I don't know what the difference was from this weekend to Houston. I'm like, but mentally, like I just felt more focused. I don't know what that kind of attributes to, but whether it's working in the gym, just focusing on trying to get that podium that we talked about in Houston, something that I wanted. But I felt more focused, just on the task at hand, and mentally a little stronger than what I normally have been.
Jay, over to you. Usually you're in and out. You were supposed to be in this press conference, I think, a couple times this weekend. And in Charlotte, you missed it there as well, which is okay. You're a busy guy, traveling all over the world. But Xander's asking, we didn't get to catch you at Charlotte, but on your 3 U.S. starts this year, you've ended 4th, 2nd, and 2nd. What's been your secret to being so consistent this year?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like none of those results have really showed what we've actually had, and like you say, I am always in and out, so I'm tired, I think that's even though it's consistent, for me, I feel like it's inconsistent. I feel like maybe if I was living in America, I feel like I could do a fraction better here, just from not being tired, like even this morning, I've been awake since like 4, so I feel like they are quite long days, like when you travel. But yeah, I mean, those results, I'm happy with them. Not thrilled, I'm happy, but I feel like the team helps a lot with our kart and engine package. The barrel is a really good go-kart, and so I feel like maybe honestly the only thing that's missing is me sometimes. Yeah.
You kind of touched on it there, but I want to kind of make more of a deep dive into it. Describe what it's like when you are a driver that literally has to go back and forth across the world after most race weekends. I mean, how tough is that for you mentally? How tough is that for you physically, getting used to the time zone changes all the time?
Well, I know that when you're tired, like how I am with jet lag, it's usually compared to being drunk. So, I feel like maybe it would be better if I wasn't tired. Yeah, no, but it is something that I really struggle with, is adjusting the time zone, because especially when you come from New Zealand to here, the way that the time zone goes, it's harder because you have to go to sleep earlier, rather than if you came from Europe where you have to just stay awake a few extra hours. So I think the time zone difference, it's harder when I come to America, because when I go home 4 days I'm good, because when you go home you just stay up later every night and then you're on time zone. But when you come here you have to, it's if you try to go to sleep early one night, you find it hard. But I have to do that, I think, 16 hours. So it's a big difference.
Jay, this is year 2 for a full campaign in Pro Shifter here in the States.
3.
Okay, 3. Year 3 for you now. So as a 16-year-old in Pro Shifter, does this year feel different than how last year kind of ran for you so far?
Yeah, I feel like I've got better as a driver, but the results have been good this year. But the start of last year I was 3rd in Pro Tour and then 1 Stars, and I feel like that was almost inaccurate of where I was as a driver at that point. Where this year I feel like it's more accurate of where I am as a driver with the consistency. It's not like last year where I won a race, but yeah, I feel like I'm leading the championship. I can't complain.
I mean, you said it's not like last year where you won a race. Obviously, we're still very early on into the Pro Shifter season on all counts. How How close are you? Do you think you are as a team and yourself as a driver to getting that win again this year?
Oh, you know, for sure I thought I was going to win today. You know, but you can't say, you know, it's hard to say.
I want to talk to you a little more about this in terms of you're a funny guy off camera. On camera, I know you're a little maybe reserved sometimes, right? But you can be very funny. And these two guys to your left, are right, have had nothing but great things to say about you. You kind of joked before the presser here. You said, listen, I mean, I am not scared of anybody on the racetrack. Off the track, sometimes people can kind of scare me. Do you feel like the Pro Shifter class has kind of welcomed you in?
Yeah. I've definitely felt more welcome than, say, somewhere like home. Yeah, I don't really feel that welcome at home, but you know, I feel welcome by this class. But it's more so after something happens, you know. It's not, I don't feel scared to walk up the grid. That's not what I mean. Like, I feel definitely quite welcome, you know. I feel like I talk to a lot of people and I'm friendly with a lot of people. But yeah.
Kyle, over to you. I mean, we've seen so far throughout the Pro Tour season, right? Maybe some argy-bargy up front, right? The racing's been, you know, side to side, maybe some contact here and there, but it's been aggressive, fair on most counts. The officials seem to let a lot of the racing be up to you guys as the pros, as the drivers. How do you kind of take to that, and you know, how do you kind of look at the level of respect being given out front so far this year?
The level of respect is definitely lower than in years past. It's a lot more argy-bargy, and they're just kind of letting it go for now. I think soon it'll be to a point where they can't, but for now, they're letting it go.
Same question over to you, Josh.
I mean, not that I have a crazy amount of experience running with guys like this. You know, I've driven a little bit with Kyle, a little bit with AJ, a little bit with Billy, guys like this. You know, I feel sometimes it really depends on the driver. You know, like Kyle and I have a mutual respect. We were talking about morning warm-up, I believe it was yesterday before qualifying. He was out in a new set of tires, and he was like, hey, like, do you mind if I go by? I'm like, dude, like, no problem. Like, I slowed down, leaving the pits, let him and his teammate go, and, you know, be on their merry way for morning warm-up. But I definitely feel it depends on the driver. Since I've been running Pro Shifter and more at the sharp end of the field, you know, the respect level is not given, it's earned. So it really depends on the driver that you've earned it with, rather than just kind of expecting it just because you're upfront and fast. It really depends on, you know, how you kind of drive that driver, whether you're, you know, more aggressive in certain spots or not.
Jay, same question.
Sorry, what was the question again?
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I put you on the spot for a reason. No, I actually want to kind of quote Josh in this one and ask you a question. And he said, respect's not given, it's earned, right? Do you feel like that's the case for you and your approach?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. That's I feel like that's more accurate for someone like Josh, where he doesn't necessarily have a teammate in the same, you know, material. Like, if you look at the final, Rousseau's my teammate in Europe, so I was never gonna put a big send on for second. You know, I was you know, not happy to take third, but I was gonna take third. You know, so I feel like yeah, you do have to earn it with someone from different teams, but definitely within the team, I feel like it should be given, not earned.
Kyle, you've heard now both their responses to kind of the question that I gave you, but I want to kind of touch back on what you talked about. You say maybe some of the officials should get involved some more. Do you prefer when it's settled on the racetrack, or, you know, what's your take on it?
It's more of in the 10th-ish area on the first lap. It seems like a free-for-all, but then it's enforced after that. With most drivers, there is the mutual respect for those of us that have been doing it for a long time. Like, we leave space, we don't turn in on each other. If you're like, you earned it, you're next to me. Like, but then there's some guys that the respect is earned from practice, and it's all the things put together. It's not like, oh, he left me space that one time. Like, it's in practice when you move out of the way when you get caught, or when you don't race the guy to the apex. When I'm getting passed, let me follow the guy instead of turning into him in practice. So yeah, the respect is definitely earned. Obviously, amongst teammates, it's given, but yeah,
What do you think is the solution?
I don't know.
I don't think there is a solution. It's a race. You know.
Josh, anything to add?
I mean, I don't know if I can add anything insightful to that. I mean, like it's going to be what it's going to be, right? If the officials want to call the race, their way, the officials are going to call the race their way. Like this is the pro shifter, whether it's KZ2, KZ in Europe, or even here at the SKUSA Pro Tour. Like we are technically the Formula One of go-karting. So to a certain point, there's only so much we can do and get away with, because at one point we're setting a wrong example for the younger generation, right? If we're bumping and grinding and driving kids off track or driving through them, then that gives, the minis, micros, the wrong example, right? Billy had touched on this previously, but the officials are going to call the race the way they want to call the race. If they want to call the race like a Formula One race where, any small incident gets called, they're going to call it like that. If they're going to go kind of more NASCAR way where, the bump and run's acceptable and, you're allowed to door bang and, police yourselves, then they're going to call it that way. But, when it comes to driving standards and earning respect, mid-race, it's up to the officials. Like Kyle said in practice, it's kind of up to the driver and how they're going to want to react.
Kyle, over to you here. You've been pretty vocal about tires in the past. Can you describe what an ideal tire for the shifter would be, and specifically the characteristics of that tire?
I feel like the tire this weekend on this surface was fine for everybody. It seems like this tire is very surface dependent. When we go somewhere abrasive, it's horrible, and when we go to a smoother surface like here, K1, Indy, isn't a problem. Granted, I blistered my tires today due to my driving. No other reason than that than getting on the gas too early and burning the thing off. But yeah.
This question goes to really all of you guys, right? Josh, I'm going to start with you, but you've been racing over in Canada. You've raced at Stars. You've raced here. To the three of you, Josh, we'll start with you. What have been y'all's thoughts about this weekend's format specifically, or this year's format more than anything here at the SKUSA Pro Tour and for y'all's pro show?
I like the format. Stars has done a cool thing with the whole pro show. Last year, the first race was, a little off, but it was, the kind of their first race running it, where we were super back-to-back and no time to change anything, and they kind of made the adjustments and went forward with it. In Canada, we're just treated as another class. So for us to race shifter in Canada, it's not as highly regarded as it is here. We're trying to put a class together for the Canadian Nationals right now. We got told no. Why? I couldn't tell you. But what?
No KZ in Canada.
Yeah, we got told no for shifter in Canada for the Nationals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was odd, but yeah.
Yeah, I know Chilliwack has no shifters at all either.
None. Our shifter scene, primarily in Canada, is done through Quebec. They run a good program when it comes to the Coupe de Montréal. They have good shifters out there, but for me living in Ontario to go to Quebec, to get to any track, it's 7+ hours. Like here's an 8-hour drive. Newcastle's an 8-hour drive as well. So like for me, going the distance isn't a big deal, but the level's not the same. To drive in Canada with the level that we get here is totally different. That's why we choose to come down here. But with regards to the format for this, I like the format. I feel that X30 Pro should probably have the same format. I'm not 100% sure why they went back with just running the standard format for X30 Pro. If we're running 2 pro classes, both pro classes should be treated the same. But I do like the format. As Kyle touched on earlier, we were out pretty quickly from pre-final to final. I noticed in Texas, I struggled a lot with fitness. In Texas, that really took a toll on me mid-final, just because I hadn't been in the go-kart for a while. Here it was a little easier because I was in the go-kart. I got to go for a test weekend. And, working in the gym only helps so much. Being in karting shape is different than being in gym fitness shape. So, overall, I do like the format, but maybe a little bit of more time between the pre-final and final might just help everyone and provide a better overall race.
Yeah, I bent my steering shaft at the end of the pre-final, and it was like mounting the tires, changing the steering column, doing the alignment, changing the carburation. Like, it took all of the time we had. Like, we're running to the grid. Yeah, there's situations where people have accidents. It is in the practice day you only have an hour and 15 minutes, but you're not racing. Where like having a short turnaround during a race day is really challenging. The pre-final, we have the warm-up at 8:15, and then we don't go out to get until 11. So that part, it's like a big spread. As far as like the format, the racing itself, the 2 heats and the super heat, it all seems good. Just the Sunday schedule could be adjusted a little bit to help everyone out, I think.
I just want to touch on the kind of both questions where the format for this track specifically this year was the reason why it had less grip, in my opinion. Where last year we followed X30, which is the same tire, which laid rubber. This year we're following Micro, which is the class that removes all the rubber. But then, did you feel in the final we had more grip?
I was better. I had more grip in the pre-final on the used tires than in the final.
Yeah, but and the patches in the back which pick up rubber had a lot more rubber in the final because we followed X30 instead of a mini class. So that's just...
Yeah, it definitely has an effect when you follow the mini. When there used to be like S1, S2, S2 was after, it was after tag or whatever it was at the time, and S1 was after the mini carts, and the S2s would go faster than the S1s in qualifying and sometimes even in the finals. So that definitely has a big effect.
Yeah, so I feel like that was... A lot of people I heard were complaining about the track grip was less than last year, and I feel like that was the contributing factor.
That's actually something I touched on with Billy last night to build off Jay's point there. Billy and I were kind of talking about the chassis and kind of which direction he wanted to go, as we were talking about yesterday, and for his chassis and for my chassis as well. And we were brainstorming, and we're like, okay, like morning warm-up's early, so the track's going to be good. But by the time we get to the pre-final, we have like a 3-hour difference, so it's like, okay, the track's going to be a little different. And then Liam, one of Billy's drivers, actually brought up the point. He was like, X30 Pro goes out last, and then we're at first for the final. And Billy and I like kind of clicked, and we're like, oh, like the track's going to be totally different. Blue rubber versus red rubber is a very different thing. And as much as we don't think it affects the racetrack and kind of affects us with our setups, the tires are slightly different. And having red rubber in front of you versus blue rubber does make a difference.
So I guess I'll pose the same question now, right, that I gave you guys earlier. What's the best solution, I guess, to have a consistent racetrack throughout the weekend? Anybody?
I'd say like running X30 Pro on the same schedule. I mean, obviously we're not going to change it for, just for Newcastle. But if we were to not be third class out in the morning, and to kind of follow, even if we were to go fourth class out and follow Shifter Masters, that'd make a difference just because that's red rubber versus red rubber. That way we're kind of keeping it consistent, whereas right now we're going out with blue rubber, and then we go for the final against red rubber.
Well, I actually forgot Shifter Master was a thing, but not like that. But hearing that, I think the idea would probably be to have Master on the normal format and then follow that with X30 and then follow that with Pro Shifter. I feel like that would give us the best track condition, with the circumstances that we have.
Kyle?
Yeah, I agree. The thing, like the blues, like the longer they run, the more it changes the track, right? So the morning warm-up, there's just 2 blue runs, and then they're 5 minutes each. Where when you get to like the final time, and the blues do 20 laps, they peel up even. Like, the longer they go, the worse the track gets. So, yeah.
Jay, I guess to wrap things up here, and for the three of you, really, heading into Newcastle, right, I want to take you back to last year. You weren't able to close out the main event there. What's the expectation now leading the championship in what we're going to call, I guess, 2.5 years, right, because you're counting Supernats from 2023. But what would you call pretty much expectations heading into Newcastle?
Yeah, well, I expect to be fast. Yeah, Newcastle, we were fast last year, and I think that we were fast the year before. I just we didn't have the greatest qualifying last year, so it was like Kyle this week. When you start back, it's really hard to move forward. Yeah, so we just have to go there and have speed. You know, we're going to Newcastle for the Stars Championship.
I think it's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? In 2 weeks. So, I mean, that's a great testing opportunity. Yeah.
Josh, over to you. That's, you know, what we're going to call, I guess, quote unquote, your home race, right? That's the closest one you go to. You know, going there after having a win, you know, whatever you want to call it. Canadian geese are around there, so, you know, you find some friends there. But, you know, that being said, you know, going to Newcastle, you already have, you know, the SKUSA Pro Tour victory off your back. You know, what's an ideal weekend look like for you moving forward to the final round?
I mean, Carlos' standpoint, I'd say it'd be another win, just because he likes winning, he likes seeing his engine up front. But yeah, I mean, like we've been historically fast at Newcastle. It tends kind of well to my driving style, high speed, hard braking, you know, kind of getting in and off the corner, which is something I never thought I would be. I was always extremely good at rolling speed, which is kind of something you need around here. But yeah, I mean, Newcastle is a track where everyone's fast. The GFCs have been super quick there. Jay and Morgado were super fast last year, especially when it came time for the final. We had a couple issues last year, you know, just kind of doing our one-offs here and there. And I think with running the full campaign this year, it'll kind of give us a better start. And, you know, just kind of carrying the momentum. Momentum always helps when it comes, you know, whether it's a test weekend or race weekend. Even for myself, I was mechanicking last weekend for Aiden and Grata, and we won. So, like, kind of momentum off that just kind of helps carrying into this weekend. So, I think we'll be good. It'll be, like, expectations will be kind of similar to what they were this weekend. You know, running in the top 5 and, you know, running up front and contending and, you know, helping Billy as much as I can. I don't know where I stand in points-wise, but I know Billy's going to be in a better standing off than I am. So, you know, when it comes to Newcastle, anything I can do to help Billy if I'm not fighting for a championship will, you know, kind of be the goal.
Kyle, over to you, right? I guess, how are you feeling heading into the final round?
I think today was a step in the right direction for us. Last year in Indy, we really missed it in qualifying, and I didn't make Super Pole, so that made the week really tough because we had the pace. I think in the end, they gave me the second place trophy. I didn't have the pace to win the final, but so I think we just need to keep working from here, and hopefully I get to do at least one weekend in the go-kart myself before then.
Alrighty, thank you guys very much, and we'll have podiums here starting shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, everyone, we're ready to get started with podium ceremonies. We're going to go through as quick as we can. We know everyone's trying to pack up, get ready, get home. But first, we want to honor all of our top 3 finishers here from all divisions. So let's kick things off with TKG Beryl Art USA. Third place today in K100 Junior, Alexander Vanchev.
I don't know if I hear you.
I'm not on. Check. But text Ellen check. KA100 Junior, second place today, Max Christia. We'll get the sound even nice and louder for all of you over the speakers so you guys can hear. Your main event winner today in KA Junior, Travis Pettit. All right, next up we'll do Micro Swift presented by Velocity Racing Sodi. Third place today for our youngest superstars. Again, X30 Junior, K Senior. Make sure to make your way over to the area along with Pro X30 and Pro Shifter to get your prizes. For Micro Swift, third place today, Brody Stuffle. Second place today in Velocity Racing Micro Swift, Dutch Westbrook. And your main event winner, doubling up on the weekend, Aiden Go! All right, hop on up to the top step here, Aiden. And go ahead and raise at least one of those trophies high up in the air, but a great picture with the both of them for sure. Raise it up, boys and girls, and everyone, give it up for your Micro Swift podium. Rocket Racing Company Master Shifter will be next. And so for Rocket Racing Company Master Shifter, third place today. A nice recovery from yesterday with a mechanical wheel that took him out. Today he's on the box, Larry Pegram. Second place today in Rocket Racing Company Master Shifter, the number 1 plate, Skitchy Barnes. And your main event winner in Master Shifter, Scott Presti. Next up will be Nash Motorsports KA100 Senior, a sold-out grid for them. So again, top 3 drivers. You guys need to head over to the table to your right for your prizes. Third place in KA Senior, Brandon Lemke. Second place today in Nash Motorsports KA100 Senior, Paulie Massimino. And your main event winner in Nash Motorsports KA100 Senior, James Overbeck. All right, congratulations, fellas. We'll let you give a moment here for James to get up to the top step and raise those trophies to the sky. Give it up one more time for your KA Senior podium. Rollison Performance Group X30 Junior will be next up. Let the K seniors clear on out. Remember, fellas, you guys got to go over to the right-hand side of the podium to get your prizes. Third place today in RPG X30 Junior, Max Weiland. Second place in RPG X30 Junior, Cole Medeiros. And your main event winner, a sweep on the day, Travis Pettit. All right, fellas, trophies up, and give it up for your X30 Junior top 3. We'll move on now here to Speed Concepts Racing Mini Swift. Another spectacular final couple of laps that came down to it to decide the final 3 spots. Third place, Jaden Francisco. Second place today in the Speed Concepts Racing Mini Swift main event, Zane Burgess. And your main event winner in Speed Concepts Racing Mini Swift, Win Godshot. What a weekend here for Win. 3 different teams, 3 different chassis. Boys, represent well, trophies to the sky, and give it up for your Mini Swift podium. Kart CRG USA Pro X30 will be up next for the top 3. And once again, for Pro X30 and Pro Shifter, once you're done off the podium, make your way to stage right to be able to get your prizes. Third place today for the second consecutive day on the box in Pro X30, Ruben Moya. Second place in Pro X30 and your points leader, Ryan Norbert. And your winner on his SKUSA Pro Tour debut in Pro X30, Gus Lawrence. Heck of a drive for Pro X30, fellas. Go ahead and raise those trophies up to the heavens and give it up one more time for Pro X30. And finally here, we'll have PSL Karting Pro Shifter. Again, Pro X30 drivers, Ruben, Gus, and Ryan, make your way over to the right-hand side of the stage. For PSL Karting Pro Shifter, third place today for GFC, Kyle Wick. Second place today in PSL Karting Pro Shifter, Jay Irwin. And your main event winner in PSL Karting Pro Shifter, his first career SKUSA Pro Tour podium and win, Josh Conker. All right, fellas, what a race. It was fun to watch. It was fun to call. Raise the trophies up. Give it up one more time for your Pro Shifter podium. And that'll clear us out. Thank you, everyone, for attending the SuperKarts USA Spring Nationals. That'll conclude our coverage and conclude it all. And the road to Las Vegas and SuperNats continues.